This is video 3 of 6 covering the chapter 20 conceptual notes, beginning at the bottom of page 7 in the primary exam 3 study guide. Okay, so first off, fundamentally, we're talking about budgets, the master budget process in particular in this chapter. You need to understand what a budget is. Essentially, know that it's an estimate or expectation about what I think is going to happen in the future, not the past. It is formal and it's typically in a written form so that I can communicate it broadly across my organization. It's also a formal or official document of the organization, and I typically want to communicate or state it in monetary or dollar terms. So there's some benefits of budgeting. If I make good goals, basically goals that are attainable and they represent some kind of improvement upon the status quo. So they're slightly challenging, but still attainable. Those kind of goals can be very motivational and can help us achieve our best outcomes. The participatory budgeting approach. So if I involve people who are over certain segments or departments of the business, if I involve them in creating the budgets that they'll be held to, it kind of increases their buy-in, um, helps them kind of put their money where their mouth is. Like they get to have a say, and because they get to have a say, they feel more bought into the budget and are more likely to hold themselves to it. Additionally, if I let them participate in creating the budget, they can also help us evaluate and develop a better budget because they have more insight into what will happen in their particular departments. The budgeting process in general, having to create a budget, makes managers focus on the future, and I want them to focus and strategize about the future. The budget itself can provide a basis for evaluation, so it provides some benchmarks I can use to evaluate managers on, and also just having those benchmarks formally communicated and stated can help to motivate managers to meet the benchmarks. Some potential negative consequences or outcomes associated with budgeting. Um, because I allow everyone to participate in the budgeting process, they can build in some what we call budgetary slack, basically some wiggle room into the budget. They don't set very motivational or aspirational goals. They lowball their estimates of what will happen in the future, and they set really low goals. So that's called budgetary slack. That would be a negative consequence of allowing for participatory budgeting. Um, there can also be this unnecessary spending effect from budgets that is associated with a use it or lose it type mentality to the budgeting process, where basically if I don't use this allotted amount this year, it'll be taken away from me next year, even though I might need it. So I'm going to use it this year to prevent that from happening, even though there's nothing I really need with it. So it drives unnecessary spending. A continuous budget is basically a budget that is continually revised as time lapses. So, an example here, you're always pushing it forward. We always assume that it's going to be a yearly budget, so we're always pushing it forward for every month that lapses to ensure that it covers a full year. So, at the end of Q1 on March 31st, year one, the yearly budget would be revised from January 1, year one, just to December 31, year one, to what period? So at the end of the Q1, or even you could say at the end of just March 31st. So I would want to begin on the next day, so the date it's lapsing. So the lapse date is 3/31, year one. So that will be one day from then. So 4/1, year one to a year out from 3/31, year one, so 3/31, year two. So we'll begin with 4/1, year one, go to 3/31 of year two. The first budget that I typically prepare in the master budget process would be the sales budget. The last one would be the cash budget. The sales budget informs production, how many I think I need to produce, the materials, labor, overhead, selling expenses, all those things that I'm going to have. All of those things like sales, materials, labor, selling expenses, overhead, all of those things impact cash. Cash is the last thing I would report, or the last budget I would do. With respect to the cash budget, I include only cash items. I would not include depreciation expense, which would be a non-cash item. So my beginning balance, which is typically positive, plus any cash receipts, which means cash that I receive, so it increases cash, minus any cash payments, or they might be called cash expenses. Okay, that is the end of video 3. We'll pick back up in video 4 at the top of page 9.